screen visible to you?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning to the dignitaries on the dais and my friends from US, and good evening, India. Today, I feel immensely pleasured to join with you all through these advanced technologies, all thanks to these online emerging platforms, separated by distance, yet connected by Zoom. Such is the power of technology. Today, I, Jyoti Motwani, a research scholar at Malviya National Institute of Technology, Jaipur, India, will be presenting the paper entitled Organizational Agility, Understanding the Role of Big Data Analytics. The paper is co-authored by Dr. Akanksha Kataria, Associate Professor, Faculty of Management Studies, Malviya National Institute of Technology. The flow of presentation would go as, we would be starting with the introduction to set the pitch for the topic, and then we'll be defining agility and key elements of agility. Next in the row, we would be discussing journey from big data to big data analytics and factors leveraging the impact of data analytics on organizational agility. Lastly, we would be having the concluding remarks and discussion. And at the last of PPT, we have the references for further discussion and detailing purpose. Now, to begin with, here we go. John Chambers, Cisco CEO, in one of his meetings said, without exception, all of his biggest mistakes occurred because he moved too slowly, emphasizing the power of time and increasing number of competitors in the market. Today, the working ecosystem of our corporate is characterized by uncertainty, unpredictability, and hyper-competitiveness. World-class performance is the target that organizations are aiming at. In fact, this world-class performance is a never-ending journey which requires lots of attention and efforts to be taken. Frankly speaking, today is the era of what we call as survival of the fittest. Organizations that are capable to cope up with the changes, are able to adapt to the changes, are the organizations that are able to flourish and survive in the marketplace. One of the paramount capabilities that organizations need to develop is what we call as agility. It was in 1991 with emergence of LPG, agility was recognized in the manufacturing sector. It is capability of an organization to face high intensity turbulence in their working ecosystem. Reviewing the literature allows us to claim that though authors have defined agility differently, for example, Goldman and his colleagues in 1995 defined agility as capability of an organization to work profitability to generate profitable profits in these turbulent environments. Whereas Yusuf and his mates in 1999 described agility as developing lucrative competitive bases where they can have competitive edges over their competitors. Now, on the other hand, Sambamurthy and his colleagues in 2003 came up with very different perspective, that is, managing the internal processes of the organization as per the requirements of the external needs, and hence facing the turbulence. As I mentioned, though authors have presented definition in different contexts and different manner, yet there exists a sense of commonness and belongingness among these definitions. And that is what I call as the marriage between the capabilities of sensing and responding. Organizational agility in its broadest sense could be defined as capability of an organization to sense the changes, to sense the opportunities or threats for that matter that are coming towards the organization and respond to them in a perfect, timely manner, increasing the metabolism of the organization. That is what agility is. Now, is it like that today I demand organizations to be agile and here I have agile organizations? Of course not. For that, there is a systematic series of steps that need to be followed by organization, which we call as key elements of agility. At the base, we have drivers, then enablers, And the final outcomes is capabilities for organizational agilities. To discuss them, we have drivers include all those elements that motivate, force, or urge organization to adopt the agile working system, be it their intrinsic motivation to do well, or be it the extrinsic motivation that they have to survive, they need to change, be it anything, all those elements that force organization to achieve or adopt agile working system are counted in drivers. Since the beginning of the presentation, we have been talking about the changing market dynamicity. Thus, change is the prime and inevitable driver for organizational agility. Amongst the other drivers which have been reviewed in literature are market unpredictability, increasing competition, automation and price cost, competing priorities, customer choices. As I said, customer is ruling the market nowadays. And at last, make to order strategy. We have moved on from that mass production to customized production. Now, once organizations have decided that they need to develop this agile working system, what's next? Next, we have the enablers. Enablers include all those elements that act as ladder for organization to achieve the final outcome, that is the agile capabilities. Some researchers have described enablers as providers of agility or have termed them as pillars, but nonetheless, it means same. The forces that help organizations to achieve agility. The enablers include integration, competence, team building, organization, technology, people, and innovation. Rather, I would say the whole of organization works together to achieve the final outcome, the capabilities for the organization. As we have already studied in organizational development and change, that any change that takes place starts from unfreezing. That is, we move from the existing norms and culture, then we accept the change, adopt the change, and refreeze. So, whole organization works towards it. At last, we have the capabilities. Agile capabilities could be understood as the characteristics which help us to know or classify whether an organization is agile or not, and even help us to measure the degree of agility in the working unit. Capabilities include responsiveness, ability of an organization to respond, quickness, how fast it can respond, how is its organizational metabolism, what is the turnaround time of the organization, its flexibility, how flexible it is to change its internal processes, brightness, intelligence, and shrewdness. This was the brief introduction to agility. Now, while I was considering this topic, I got a question into my mind. What helps organization to achieve these capabilities of sensing and responding? How do organization judge what's going outside the environment? And for that answer, I got real-time flow of data in my plate. My professor served me with real-time flow of data, what's known as big data. As per the report generated by Forbes in 2019, every single minute of the day, this amount of data is generated. Around 2 lakh people post on Instagram every single minute. 45 lakh videos are seen on YouTube. Now you can imagine what's the power of big data. How much organizations are overloaded with this big data. And to characterize this big data, we have commonly known as 5 V's of big data, that is volume, velocity, variety, value, and veracity. At one place, volume depicts the size or the amount of data that is being flowed into the organization. Velocity depicts the speed with which it is coming, and variety tells us the type of data the organization is receiving, be it structured data, unstructured data, or semi-structured data. Value and veracity have been recently added to these characteristics of big data, where they mean value is the worth of the data because it's a costly affair to collect this data or to generate this data, and veracity refers to the reliability of data. Keep in mind, I have been using the word data and not the information, because in the decision-making pyramid, we first get data and then we synthesize it to generate information. So the process doesn't end at collecting data. Rather, we have to systematically analyze the data. And there we got the concept of big data analytics, BDA. The big data analytics provides organization with four capabilities. First one is descriptive analytics, which allow organizations to know what's actually going into the market, what's the current scenario, current position, happenings in the environment. And then we have the diagnostic analytics, which help organizations to understand the reason behind such happenings, to understand the cause of these happenings. But what's the use of understanding the past? What has happened. But for that rescue comes the predictive analytics, which allows organization on the basis of past data to understand and study the pattern and predict what's going to happen in the future. But that's not the end of the advancement in technology. We have prescriptive analytics with us, which provides organization with all the remedies it can take to have a protective shield against the threats coming and to open armly accept and welcome all the opportunities coming to the analytics, coming to the organization. Big data analytics has been identified to play a complementary role in enhancing the organizational agility. It has led to powerful transformation in the working ecosystem of the organization. As discussed above, to sense the external environment comes for that rescue comes the data analytics. Past studies have recognized PDA to be a game changer and revolution in the field of business management. For any decision making, timely acquiring data is the most important thing and prerequisite. Thus, a well-developed information system is the requirement of the time for organizations to have a timely decision-making system, thus enhancing the concept of agility within the organization. Big data analytics plays a dual role in the organization. It helps organizations to enhance their internal processes by removing the bottlenecks and thus accelerating the efficiency. And on the other hand, it allows organization to study the changes occurring, to sense the changes, and in turn respond to them and design customized products for their customers. But here's the twist. Is it like all the organizations that adopt big data analytics succeed? If it would have been so, we would have been companies reaching at heights. But that's not the case. We have certain factors leveraging the impact of big data analytics. To study these factors, first we would be going through what is called as resource-based view, that is propounded by Barney in 1991. As I said, if adoption of big data analytics would have been solution for every problem, it would have been easy for organizations to generate profit and to survive and flourish in the market. But that's not the case. Resource-based view says for organizations to flourish, it's the systematic or strategic mindset the organizations develop, and they develop their resources in a manner that are rare, valuable, and not the resources which are not copyable or replicable. And the factors in case of big data analytics include organizational culture, top management support, employee mindset, and behavior. We'll be discussing each one of them one by one. Talking about the organizational culture, reports have identified organizational culture as playing a prominent role in harnessing the valuable insights generated from big data analytics. Reports from McKinsey have specially pinpointed the importance of data-driven culture within the organization to have effective decision-making. There have been two concepts that have been discussed in literature. First one is democratized culture and second one is networked culture. Democratized culture says that it is the openness of mind of employees in the organization that allow them to share information at all the stages and willingly accept the diversified opinions, and what we call have the brainstorming sessions to generate innovative and creative ideas to serve the market. And on the other hand, network organizations are capable of coordination. All the departments are coordinated in a well developed manner that they can share information to right actors at right time, thus allowing them to make right decisions. So both of the cultures have a positive impact on adoption of big data analytics and in turn impact the agility development of the organization. However, one thing that is to be remembered is that no organizational change can take place without the support of top management. And hence, the second factor we are going to discuss is the top management support. Big data adoption is a very costly affair, especially for organizations, the medium size or small size enterprises, it is a costly affair. But we don't have option. It needs to be adopted. So it's very important to have the critical evaluation of adoption, to have the pros and cons, and that requires a top management support. For all organizational changes, top management act as the building blocks to the process. Top management act as a primary surveyor, purveyor, and enforcer of plans and strategies for firm-wide big data adoption. Until and unless top management is not satisfied, you cannot satisfy your employees, be it at medium level or at lower level, to adopt any technology. For our case, it's big data, but be it anything, if top management is not agreeing with that particular view or opining in a similar fashion, it's very difficult to have successful implementation of that particular thing. And at last, but not the least, we have employee mindset and behavior. Just a days back, I was listening to Dr. T.V. Rao, who is popularly known as father of HRD. He said, employees are just not resources. Rather, they are the unlimited resources for the organization. They are the possibility or rays of possibility for every happening in the organization. So it's very important to understand how they feel about adopting any particular technology. For our case, organizational agility, the function of sensing and responding, both are people embodied functions. And most importantly, it is employees who serve or who contact or interact with the customers at the first place. They generate, they gather the insights, and accordingly, top management makes the strategy. So we all are aware about the importance of employees in our organization. It is important to keep employees engaged and understand how they feel about particular technology, or in our case, it's big data. For this matter, we have referred to technology acceptance model, which says there are two variables that need to be understood. There are two parameters that need to be understood. First is perceived usefulness, and second is perceived ease of use, which derive the attitude, in turn behavioral intention, and then the actual usage of that particular technology. Perceived usefulness is how do employees feel whether that particular technology would bring advancement in working of the organization, whether would it generate the end results as per the needs of the organization or not. If we are high on this parameter, we are good to go. But wait, we have other factor too, and that plays an important role, that is perceived ease of use. Usually, every employee, rather every person is rigid to change, be it you or be it me. Every change, we are very reluctant to adopt that. So perceived ease of use says whether employees perceive that particular technology would be easy to use or not, whether they would be able to cope up with this technology or not, whether this technology would hamper their growth or not, whether this technology may lead to removal of them from organizations. Here also comes the role of top management and middle management. They are the one who would be consoling the the employees and ensuring them that nothing is going to change, and they would be provided with proper training and all every learning and development courses to adopt this technology. And once we are done with both these parameters, it develops a positive attitude and behavioral intention. And finally, we have technology adoption in our hand. That's it. Moving on to the conclusion, we have discussed about agility. We have discussed about the competitive environment organizations are working in, organizations are living in. To survive in this competitive environment, the capability that organizations require is agility. And to enhance the impact of agility, to understand agility, we have in our hands the big data analytics, which comes with high velocity, variety, and volume. So literature also acknowledged that there are factors that leverage the impact of data analytics on agility, and which include organizational culture, top management support, and employee mindset behavior. For most, it is very important for the organization to have strategic human resource management, because employees are key to success for any organization. And as said, what gets measured gets done. In the beginning, it was said, that's very true. Now is the time to measure everything that's being cost to the organization, so that organizations can decide whether to keep it or to remove it. Thank you. Here are the references. Thank you. Open for questions. Thank you for being such a patient audience. Thank you.